Gina Argento, Bogdan Bakarowski,
Here.
Lisa Bamonte, Gina Barros,
Here.
Tion Brooks, Eric Mercedes, Thomas Burrows,
Here.
Iris Cabrera, Phil Caponegro.
Yeah.
Is that Phil?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, Jerry, yes.
thank you. Frank Carbone,
Here.
Stephen Chesler,
Here.
Michael Chiricella, Teresa Cinciata, Giovanni D'Amato.
Here.
Aaron, thank you, Giovanni. Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur Dubinowski.
Here.
Thank you, Arthur. T. Willis Elkins.
Here.
Thank you. Julia Amanda Foster. Chairperson Fuller.
Yeah.
Joel Goldstein. Joel Goldstein. Joel Gross. Katie Denny Horowitz.
Here.
Thank you. Sonia Iglesia.
Here.
Thank you. Moshe Indig. Rosanna Kaminsky. Rosanna, I heard you before. I see her on screen. I'll mark her present. Ryan Coonan. Yoel Landau. Marie Lianza. Abraham Leibovitz. Yo Lowe. Trina McKeever.
Here.
Sante Michelli.
Here.
Thank you. Toby Moskowitz. Martin Needleman. Rabbi Niederman. Karen Nieves. Mario Damark. Janice Peterson. Dana Racklin. Bella Sable. Isaac Sofer. Robert Solano. Del Teague.
Here.
Tommy Torres. William Vega.
Here.
Maria Vieta. Stephen Weidberg. Simon Weiser.
I'm here, Jerry. Eric Mercedes.
Jerry, Lisa Bamonte here.
Tion Brooks is
Iris
here as well.
Cabrera here.
One at a time. So we had Lisa Bamonte.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I heard Eric. I heard Tion.
Yes, Tion's here.
I heard Eric. Did I miss anybody else?
Iris Cabrera.
Then I was here.
Iris.
Yeah, and Tish is here.
Tish is in the house. Anybody else?
Rosina Kaminsky.
I have you, Boozer.
Okay, great.
$22 members answering the call.
Thank you, Jerry. Public session, public hearing is now open. First item on the agenda is liquor license. Do we have any speakers for the liquor license?
We have one, Joanna.
Yes, we have Abraham Abdul Malik.
Leek, are you here?
No, I do not see him here.
Okay. That concludes the public hearings, session. Now we're going to our regular board meeting. Can we have a moment of silence, please? Thank you. Can I have the roll call, please?
Gina Argento, Bogdan Bakarowski,
Here.
Lisa Bamonte,
Here.
Gina Barros,
Here.
Tion Brooks,
Here.
Eric Brusadas, Tom Burrows,
Here.
Iris Cabrera,
Here.
Phil Caponegro,
Here.
Frank Carbone,
Here.
Stephen Chesler,
Here.
Michael Chirichella, Teresa Cinciata,
Here.
Giovanni D'Amato,
Yeah, here.
Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur Dubinowski,
Here.
T. Willis Elkins,
Here.
Julie Amanda Foster, Chairperson Fuller,
Yeah.
Joel Goldstein, Joel Gross, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Here.
Sonia Iglesia,
Here.
Moisha Indig, Ozena Kaminsky,
Here.
thank you, Ryan Coonan, Joel Landau, Marie Lianza, Abraham Leibovitz, Yoel Lowe, Trina McKeever,
Here.
Sante Michelli,
Here.
Toby Moskowitz, Martin Needleman, Rabbi Niederman, Karen Nieves,
Here.
thank you, Mario Damark, Janice Peterson, Dana Racklin, Bella Sable, Isaac Sofer, Robert Solano, Del Teague,
Here.
Tommy Torres, William Vega,
Here.
Maria Vieta, Stephen Weidberg, Simon Weiser.
Here, you hear me, Jerry?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Bella's trying to sign on. She's she's out of town. I'm just sending. I can give you a phone number. You should open up the line. I'll send you a text.
24 members answering the call.
How many, Jerry?
24.
24.
You need one for a quorum.
Okay, well, we have Councilman Wrestler on. Councilman, would you like to speak now?
Happy to say hello. It's good to see you, Chair Fuller, and all of my friends and neighbors in Community Board 1. I really
Thank you.
appreciate. Can't hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to share a couple quick updates. It's been a busy month. Can't believe we're just a month into the term. It already feels like we've been at it for dog years. We're having fun. I wanted to. We're running all over the district. We're trying to meet with every school, every nonprofit, every senior center. So if we haven't come to pay you a visit yet, and you'd like me to come say hello, I'm eager to do it. Just reach out, and we'll get it on the calendar. There are a few key updates I wanted to share. One is relating to the just extraordinary spike that we've experienced in the Con Ed bills this month. Many people saw their bills double or triple, and it's really not okay. So just today, I organized a letter from the entire delegation of Brooklyn Council members, as well as our Brooklyn Borough President, to the Public Service Commission, calling on them to investigate Con Ed, to try to do what we can to drive down these extraordinary increases. The doubling and tripling of bills is not okay. It's not sustainable. Working people can't handle it. This was totally unexpected. I certainly feel blindsided, as I know that many consumers do, and we're going to try to bring some real oversight and accountability there. As you all know well, we've got applications open for community boards. And so something that our office is organizing is a community board forum with that will include a panel of experts talking about what it means to be on a community board. Karen Nieves, our former transportation chair, is going to be one of our panelists, as well as the district manager from CB6, the secretary from CB2, and the chair from CB3, the other community boards in District 33. We're going to be holding that session on Zoom on February 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Check our social media or our emails if you're interested in joining. But anyone who's interested in applying for the community board, we definitely encourage you to be there. Many of you probably saw over the last few weeks, there was a number of dogs that appeared to get leptospirosis at the McCarran Dog Run. We were able to work with parks. Leptospirosis, unfortunately, is a virus that's transmitted via rat urine. The good news is that it's treatable, but it can cause fatalities in dogs and in humans. And so we lost reportedly up to 4 dogs in our community. We were able to get swift action from the Parks Department, for which I'm very appreciative. And they've been doing meaningful improvements that I think will address the conditions there, from rat mitigation to new trash cans to replacing all of the wood chips and putting new gravel in for drainage. So we're hopeful there. It's not a permanent solution, and we've got to put some real resources into improving the McCarran Dog Run. And then this past weekend, we celebrated $75 million that's coming to Bushwick Inlet Park. This was one of Mayor de Blasio's last actions. Senator Schumer came out with Emily Gallagher and other local elected officials to celebrate that major investment. We still have some funding to go to get Bushwick Inlet Park fully built. This was one of the central promises of our waterfront rezoning, and I want you all to know that I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get every penny that we need to fund that park. And then lastly, I just wanted to comment on 3 violent anti-Semitic incidents that occurred this past weekend. 2 were in our neighboring community board in CB3, just beyond our border. But one was in Williamsburg over on Rodney, and it included swastikas being spray painted onto the to a school bus, one of our yeshiva buses. And we just have, I'm angry and I'm heartbroken, and I'm just deeply saddened for all of the neighbors in the Jewish community who are feeling unsafe walking down the street right now. And we've got to do so much more to keep our to keep one another safe. We're pushing some new initiatives to try and deepen tolerance and cultural understanding in the South Williamsburg and Bed-Stuy communities. We've been in close coordination with the mayor's office and are hopeful that we'll get some new resources to really try to put some new initiatives into action to try and build deeper bonds and strengthen the cross-cultural understanding that we really need to root out these incidents. As always, I'm a phone call or text and email away if I can ever be helpful. Thank you, Chair Fuller and Jerry, for having me, and all the members of CB1. Look forward to working in close partnership with you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Maria just called me, Vera. She's having trouble getting in.
I got in. Thank you.
Oh, she got in?
Thank you. I'm in.
Okay. Is Nicholas Perry here from the Controller's Office?
Bella Sable, I just got on.
Okay, Bella. So I guess Mr.
Thank
Perry
you.
is not. I guess Mr. Perry is not here. So sounds like we might have a quorum now, Jerry.
That's correct.
Okay.
Is the councilman still on board?
What?
Can I say a comment to the councilman? This is Simon.
You got a comment for the councilman?
Yes.
Okay.
Is he still on the line?
Go ahead, Simon.
Oh, I know. I just
I'm
want. Oh, thank you, Councilman. Wish you luck in your hard, well-earned position. The community board, the parks department had put in a request, recommendations about the Classroom Playground. This has been a vacant piece of land for a long time. It's unutilized, and we would looking for some funding to fence around, do some upgrade on that location. So, what would be the move to get some funding to look at this piece of playground to make it useful for the local children and families in the area?
Thank you, Simon, for raising it. I do want you to know we spent, I think, 3 or 4 hours last week, me and my whole staff, with the Brooklyn Borough Commissioner and his team, going through each and every parks issue in the district. I raised the Classen Triangle as an area where I think we need new investment, and they were receptive. So we'll be in touch with them to see what can be done, and I'll go over and visit the Classen Triangle myself in the days or weeks ahead, and we'll see what we can do. But it's definitely on our radar. Once you know, we raised it with Parks last week, and we'll do the best we can to try to see some improvement there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wrestler. Anybody else have any questions for the councilman? Okay.
Not a question, Chair, but I just want to say thank you, Lincoln, for your close attention on parks, and really appreciate it. You've been very clear that that's a priority, as it is for all the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Katie. You know, I think, like many of us on this community board, many of the members of this community board, we're pissed that the promises that were made around park space and rezoning 17 years ago still haven't been realized. And I'm entering into office and couldn't be clearer that fixing those broken promises, seeing city agencies step up and provide the resources and do the work to follow through on Bushwick Inlet Park, on Box Street Park, these are critical priorities that we need to make happen, and appreciate your partnership. And we'll do everything I can to try to make that, to get these things right as quickly as possible.
Alice, I have something I'd like to add. This is Dell.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to let you know, Councilman, that I'm going to be sending you a letter, or perhaps it'll come from the board, but we'll be inviting you to come to our March 1st Land Use Committee meeting to discuss with us basically the land use needs for the district, the things that you would like to see, things that and to discuss how we can work together to move forward with a cohesive plan, land use and landmarks plan for the district. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
I really appreciate it. Chair Teague, I really look forward to it. I will be there. I had the chance to speak briefly with Chair Fuller and Jerry last week and made clear to them, and want to underscore to you and the whole land use committee, that our goal is to engage every developer early in the process. If they're thinking about applying for a project in our district, we want to hear from them early, and long before they certify, sit with us, our office, with the land use committee, and with the local stakeholders around a proposed development site, so that we can give feedback and input and shape a project to meet our needs prior to certification, when it's often too late. And if we can do that early engagement, I think we can get to better outcomes than what we've experienced. And I really hope to be a partner to you and to your members to make that happen.
Thank you. I'm sure you will. And I think that if we move in that way, then we won't have a situation like we have tonight, where we've had to recommend a no unless conditions are met, and probably only because we didn't get started earlier with the developer. I don't think there's any malfeasance on the part of the developer. So that'd be great. Thanks.
Well said. Thank you.
I want to add a little comment. Thank you, Councilmember Ressler. Tapping again on Park, just to remember that we have Transmitter Park, WNYC Friends of Transmitter Park, a very important park that historically was the only one and the first one, and still remain fundamental for a community that's overdeveloped. Every month we have a new tower coming up and bringing 2,000 people, lack of dog runs, but definitely something that was never put in place is the restroom. And I believe they are fundamental, because there is a playground, there is family, and so hopefully that's something we consider. And then we have an historic building, which is the WNYC building there, that is kind of dilapidated. I believe the Friends group believe it should be preserved. But anyhow, in light of the restroom and the building, they forgot about Transmitter Park. And it was 1989 when the community board has pointed out that the land was up for sale. So let's just count how many years, and we still don't have, we have a park luckily, but not restroom. So hopefully that could be also on your agenda to support the community, at least to get the restroom there, you know.
I'd like to see a new restroom and transmitter, and I think we should have more public restrooms around our community. You know, it's one of the things that boggles all of our minds, that it can cost $4 million to somehow install a restroom in a park. But until we fix the capital project process in the Parks Department, which frankly needs to be fixed yesterday, it's a challenge. And you know, I wish that I could say we have all the money in the world at our discretion in our council office that we can fund every need. We're going to have to make tough choices and pick priorities, but there's no question we need a bathroom in Transmitter Park. And hopefully we can get the cost down to make it an even more viable project. But it's definitely on our radar, and appreciate you raising it.
On land use, and we know we're all there, something I believe the community care a lot, together with affordable house, which it's a human right. For sure, I always voted in my personal history, always voted in favor, but I believe also we need to recognize that the environmental measure, which must be a mandatory. We have a global climate emergency, and we all know that hopefully they can travel together to get, you know, with all the other issues, and we do not forget about that. So looking forward to yeah, to work with you too on that too. Thanks again.
Here, here.
Anybody?
This is Bella Sable. I wonder if I can comment something on
Go
something.
ahead, Bella.
This is about the development that is taking place now at the certified lumber area, Kent and Division. About the park that is going to be developed there for children and for everybody. I wonder, like they said before, we should look into it before it's too late. So we have a good park for the children and for the population surrounding it.
Thank you, Ms. Sabo. I very much agree. You know, this was a project that was approved by Councilmember Levin over a decade ago now. And, you know, my first focus is that I'm concerned the developer that's finally moving forward on the site isn't actually holding to the terms that Steve had negotiated with regard to the affordable housing we were promised. So that's a big priority of mine. I will definitely look into the open space issues. You know, that site is currently undergoing development. The adjacent site at 500 is thinking about a rezoning, and the Brooklyn Navy Yard just underwent its master planning process, and there's supposed to be additional access to the waterfront there as well at each of those sites. So I'm very focused on how do we create a dynamic esplanade across the three locations and ensure, you know, quality open space for the community of South Williamsburg along the water there, from certified lumber to 500 Kent through the Navy Yard.
Okay, thank you. I live in that area, and I'm always thinking about it. Something should be done before it's too late, so we can benefit from a good and comfortable and beautiful modern park.
Here, here.
So everybody
Agreed.
to enjoy, so everybody can enjoy it before it's too late. So now is the time that we need to focus and see that something sensible is being developed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, thank you, Councilman. We look forward to working with you and helping you get everything we need and deserve for the district.
I'm here to partner. Thank you so much, Chair Fuller. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Great evening, everybody.
Likewise, stay healthy, stay safe. Okay. Okay, we'll continue. Can I have an approval of the agenda?
Bill Caponegro?
I second.
Cabernego and Vega.
I
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I have approval of the minutes?
William
I
Vega.
William Vega. William and Iris, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay. Public session. Can you call it, Joanna, can you call the names for the public speakers, please?
Yes. Captain Omar Birchwood. Captain Omar Birchwood, you're unmuted.
Oh, good evening. Yes, I am. How's everybody doing?
Hi, how
Can you
are
hear
you?
me?
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Yeah. So this, like I said, my name is Omar Birchwood. I just wanted to introduce myself to the community board. The command officer now for Police Service Area 3, which covers over there in the 90 precinct. We cover, like, you know, Williamsburg, Taylor White houses, etc. I'm taking over for Inspector Esposito, who's transferred on to the 70 precinct. So I just wanted to introduce myself, so you know who's running the PSA, and that if you have any issues in any house developments that the community board covers, that, you know, I have open door policy. You can reach out to, you know, myself. I will leave my information. All of my community affairs officers is on there, and we'll definitely assist you in anything you need. Just like piggyback over the Councilman Ressler said about the considered crimes, like we was involved in that in the 7-9. We put out officers where they needed to be to increase police presence in conjunction with the 7-9 precinct. So that's what we're here for. If anything goes wrong in the community, we're here to offer our support and help this computer's messing up, to you know, help you guys whatever you need. So as I said, if there's any questions, I'm here. If you have any questions now, I'm glad to take any questions anyone has.
Anyone have any questions for Dr. Bratchwood? Seems like there's no question. Thank you, Captain.
Okay, thank you again. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
The next speaker is Lauren Comito.
Hi, it looks like I'm unmuted. My name is Lauren Comito. I'm the branch manager at the Leonard Library on DeVoe Street, and I was just stopping by to the meeting to let you all know that we've reopened after several months of closure with a new entrance and a wheelchair accessible ramp. So we're reopened regular hours, and we have a couple of new projects that we're doing. One is a pen pals project for all ages with a library, in partnership with a library in Brisbane, Australia, who we developed a relationship with during Zoom book groups in 2020. So you come in, fill out a form, we match you or your child with somebody who shares interests with them and provide postcards and postage so that you or they can write letters to a counterpart in Australia and get letters back. We also have continued our Friday 11 a.m. knitting program, which draws people from all over Brooklyn and New York City, but also oddly Tennessee, Arizona, and Philly. So if you knit and you want to hang out with us on Fridays at 11, it's right on our calendar on the website. Please join us there. We are reopened, but masks and social distancing are still required per the library policies. And my favorite thing ever, I think, in my career is that we've gone fine free. So if you have late books that you couldn't return because we were closed and you couldn't make it to one of the other libraries, or you're just sitting on them feeling ashamed that you haven't returned them because they're late and now you're going to have a fine, just bring them back. No more late fees. We will still charge for books that are more than a month overdue, but then once you bring them back, that, replacement fee goes away, and we're just really excited to get everyone coming back in, bringing things back, and feeling better about using the library. And any questions anyone has about that or the reopening, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions about the library? No? Thank you for the updates. It sounds very interesting. Okay.
There's no more speakers.
Thank you, Joanna. Committee reports. Steve Chancellor, Environmental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will have a couple items that will need to be voted on. I just wanted to know if it would be okay to combine them into one vote. I'll let you know what they are, but in the name of expediency, even though looks like we're having a shorter than usual night. But so we've had a high volume of brownfield cleanup programs coming through for former industrial and commercial sites that are being redeveloped into mostly residential buildings. So, and there were 4 that we found to be significant. And so we, to meet the deadlines of Office of Environmental Remediation and Department of Environmental Conservation, we ended up having 2 meetings in 2 weeks. So I'm going to just give you a summary of those 2 meetings. And first, I just want to thank the Environmental Protection Committee members who came to both meetings. We had quorum for both of them. So I really appreciate your participation. I know, many of you are on multiple committees making multiple commitments. So first off, we had a meeting on January 24th, and the first item was related to Site C of the Broadway Triangle development that's bordered by Bartlett Street, Throop Avenue, and Jerry Street. And this is a program that is going through DEC. And so we brought in we run Jane O'Connell, who's the regional remediation engineer, and the project manager, and also Drew Vandenberg, who's project manager for Riseboro, who's part of the Unified Neighborhood Partners, who are their developers, and then environmental consultant Rue was also in hand. And it's less than an acre site, and it was formerly there was an undertaker, a tailor, and a club, and previous residential buildings that were demolished, and there was an automotive repairs business there. But the site was significantly contaminated with volatile organic compounds, a significant amount of lead, and they standard remediation proposal is to excavate and dispose of soil, replacing it, installing a cover system, a subslab depressurization system, horizontal soil vapor extraction system, basically filters any vapors before they're released on the roof, and instituting engineering controls as well. So our main concern, there's a 9-story residential building going up here. It's just, the controlling, just with trucks coming and going, bringing in, moving soil, and bringing new soil, and just with potential, the vapors and dust emanating. Bartlett Playground is across the street, and the Talmudic Study site is across the street as well. And so we just emphasize that that there be communication with Mary Salg of Parks and Recreation, so they can act appropriately. One of the volatile organic compounds was there is PCE, which is normally a dry cleaning chemical that's used, and it's kind of a mystery of where the origin of that is, because there wasn't a dry cleaning facility previously on this site. So, but just the same, they were, they're going to just put in measures to prevent migration of the vapors and contaminated groundwater off-site. So, the key takeaway was for the, just really stronger communication from DEC and from the Unified Neighborhood Partners with nearby residents and stakeholders and like Parks and Recreation. So that was it for that item. And then we had an Office of Environmental Remediation cleanup program at Rivering at their northern parcel, just a small section of it at 105 River Street. Shaminder Shala he's the deputy director there. He was there with their legal counsel, and Two Trees had who was a developer, and it was wrapped by Bridget McCrum. And they're going to develop a 46-story tower there in the northeast section. And that's where the cleaning will occur. There are going to be 2 additional phases of cleaning of where the southern tower and then the open space and waterfront park area. Basically, a quick summary is also volatile and semi-volatile organic compounds, metals, pesticides that all exceeded levels that are acceptable. And there's also anticipating that there'll be former storage tanks underground that they will have to remove as well. They again proposing that they are going to remove and replace soil, discharge wastewater into the sewer system, and there'll be a capping with a concrete slab. And so it's basically kind of a typical remediation there. Again, we're really worried about truck traffic. Will the trucks be properly covered? What route they will be taking? To really be mindful of that. They're estimating about 6 weeks, the duration of excavation. And we're just worried, having giant piles of dirt blowing around. And they assured us that they would not let that happen. And then just one thing that, Jerry brought up, wasn't necessarily related to the remediation per se, was part of this project in building the park is there's an existing combined sewer overflow outlet that's going, right, basically jutting it, that's discharging right off the property. And one of the land use actions was being allowed to relocate that. So the question is where they're going to relocate that. Are they going to move it further up north, where you have 184 Kent, another residential building up there. So that's something we, as a committee and a board, I think we'd like to discuss further and get the stakeholders in to just, to examine where that might be, what the ramifications are of that. Now, another item that came out of both of these is that, just a common sense action that we asked is that either DEC and or OER post safety and contact information on the construction fence at the construction site. But Jane O'Connor informed us that DOB rules preclude anyone other than DOB posting information there, just, straight construction information there. So there was a motion made to basically pass a resolution expressing our disconcertion, distaste over the law, and to change it accordingly, sent to the mayor and to the chair of the environmental committee at the city council. But I want to hold that in, to include with another resolution that we will deal with our other meeting. And just at this point, does anyone have questions about either of these two projects? All right, I'll move right along to the February 3rd meeting. And initially, we dealt with a OER OER remediation program at Greenpoint Landing at their next site. This is, I think, site number 7 at 16 DuPont, which is the corner of where West Street will be extended, and it's cross street from Greenpoint Playground, and across street from that is Newtown Barge Park. We had Zach Schreiber from OER there. Their environmental consultants were there, as well as a Greenpoint Landing rep who is partnering with the Rockefeller Group on this development. Yes, that was that Rockefeller. So the contamination is pretty extensive there, again, with VOCs, SVOCs, metals, pesticides, affecting the groundwater, soil vapor, and they're going to dewater. They're going to remove an extensive amount of soil between 17 and 29 feet deep, and so that translates into lots of truckloads in and out of there. And so there are, parents on the committee, parents from the community on the call, who really pressed that you really got to keep tabs on that, and really worried about that. The extent of dust. Laura Hoffman is on the committee. She's lived through the previous Greenpoint Landing construction projects, and it's been kind of a nightmare for her, just having cars covered in dust and not getting good response from their community liaison, who was working there at the time. And we asked if, unfortunately, Peter, who was their previous liaison, he passed away, and we're asking if there's someone else who is now assuming that role. They said there hadn't, and we really felt strongly that there should be a person, so they are going to look into that. For now, they've supplied us with an email. And the other kind of elephant in the room is this is very near the Newhart Superfund site, where there's a phthalates plume and a TCE plume. Phthalates plume is right, so it's not clear how far into the street into Franklin it goes, but this deep Greenpoint Landing site is next to a vacant lot where a school was supposed to be erected as part of the promise with the special permits and text amendments that were given to Greenpoint Landing for additional density and for getting this current site is where the sludge tank used to be. So to benefit them. So they kind of went blank on that as far as what's being done there. So I feel like that's a discussion that really we're urging be picked up by the appropriate committees, education community and or the land use committee, to make sure that it happens. They're told they're going to have 11 sites. So it just seems, just seems very feasible that they should be able to fold in the school into one of those, because the parents will not let their kids go to the original designated site because it's just too close to that plume. And so so yeah, we ended up taking a vote, asking for additional air monitors to be installed into both Greenpoint Playground and to Newtown Barge Park, and that the cost be borne not by community organizations, but the developer. And that passed unanimously. And then just the fourth and final project was a DEC project, 1036 Manhattan Avenue, which is the corner of Freeman. And, that's a worrisome spot because if you remember, there was issue 2 years ago with vapor intrusion incidences with residents on Freeman Street, a little closer to McGinnis, but it was really severe and significant. And so we really wanted to hear what is in the ground and in the water at 1036 Manhattan Avenue. And there is extensive chlorinated volatile organic compounds, related to, dry cleaning. And, that was the prime contaminant, because there were quote unquote paints used on the site, addition to retail. And they believe that was the source of the contamination. This, with the proposed remediation, is what they call an interim remedial measure, which essentially they immediately start beginning some of the cleanup. And they're doing that because the developer wants to take advantage of 421A, which expires in June. And unfortunately, the developers did not attend the meeting, which is really works against their credibility in this way, considering the proximity of the site and the state of the site. And so we're just really want to watch. Once they do the interim remediation, the developers have to do another investigation to see if those chlorinated solvents still exist, and especially off-site. And just to know that the people on the call, both on the board and beyond, detecting the odor of these chemicals is what you used to smell in the typical dry cleaners, kind of that sweet, kind of varnishy smell. So if you know folks, or if you live there and if you're encountering those, you should get in touch with DEC or the board or our elected officials, if Lincoln is here still on this call. Really to watch out on that, because it's really horrible what those residents are going through, anyone else to go through it. And we're worried that they're rushing through this. So so we took actually there's 3 motions that the DEC and the State Department of Health must reach out to residents in the vicinity of 1036 Manhattan about this interim remedial measure, and provide agency contact information related to the remediation. So again, communication is really key here. Before I ask for a vote, we want, again, as I mentioned, in old business, we want to explore this CSO relocation at River Ring. And then with new business, we're about to schedule another committee meeting regarding 83 Apollo Street cleanup. That is where there is a homeless shelter targeted to be developed there. That site is significantly contaminated. So in the first week of March, we'll be holding a meeting there. And then just regarding the deadlines that OER and DEC impose, it really does not leave enough time for our committee and board meeting cycle. And both agencies basically stated it's basically statutory, that it's state law related to the deadlines. So again, we want to urge our elected officials, and maybe we can follow up with them about getting that law loosened, so we maybe at least have 60 days. Just wonder if anyone has questions about these 2 other cleanup sites at Greenpoint Landing and Manhattan Avenue. Okay. So I would like to make a 3-part motion. related to what the committee voted on. First, related to, the first motion is to request New York City Department of Buildings allow agencies such as OER and DEC to post contact and safety information on construction sites. And then the second part is for Greenpoint Landing to install air monitors across from their 16 DuPont construction site at Greenpoint Playground and Newtown Barge Park. And then part 3 related to 1036 Manhattan Avenue, that Department of Environmental Conservation and the State Department of Health reach out extensively to residents in the vicinity of 1036 Manhattan Avenue regarding the remediation.
I second the motion.
Okay, motion's been made and second. Jerry, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Who was the
I'm
second?
sorry, who seconded it?
Was that Ms. Horowitz?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the motion is to adopt the 3-part resolution as read by Mr. Chesler. Gina Argento, Bogdan Bakarowski,
Yes.
Lisa Bamonte,
Yes.
Gina Barros,
Yes.
Tian Brooks,
Yes.
Eric Brusadas,
Yes.
Tom Burrows,
Yes.
Iris Cabrera,
Yes.
Bill Caponegro,
Yes.
Frank Carbone,
Yes.
Stephen Chesler,
Yes.
Michael Churchella, Teresa Cinciata,
Yes.
Giovanni D'Amato,
Yes.
Erin Drinkwater, Arthur Dibinowski, T. Willis Elkins,
Yes.
Julia Manda Foster,
Yes.
Joel Goldstein, Joel Gross, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Yes.
Sonia Iglesia,
Yes.
Moisha Indig, Ozena Kaminsky,
Yes.
thank you, Ryan Coonan, Yoel Landau,
Yes from Ryan.
Marie Lianza, Abraham Leibovitz, Yoel Lowe, Trina McKeever,
Yes.
Sante Michelli,
Yes.
Toby Moskowitz, Martin Needleman, Rabbi Niederman, Karen Nieves,
Yes.
Mario Domerick,
Yes.
Janice Peterson,
Yes.
Dana Recklin, Bella Sable,
Yes.
Isaac Sofer, Robert Solano, Del Teague,
Yes.
Tommy Torres, William Vega,
Yes.
Maria Vieta,
Yes.
Stephen Weidberg, Simon Weiser, members answering in the affirmative. Motion carries.
Thank you, Jerry.
That's it,
Does that-
Madam Chair. Thank you.
That concludes your report.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. SLA, Tom Burrows.
It was a fairly easy meeting this month. There were only 10 new applications, and out of that 10, the committee considered the applications and were recommending approval of 5 of them. One of them, the applicant requested a postponement. 2, we recommended denial. And there's 2 items that just, one was shouldn't even been there because it was for an all-night permit on New Year's Eve, so it was a long time after New Year's Eve. And we keep getting these requests from I don't know where for approval of expansion onto municipal property. And as I keep saying, we have no procedure for reviewing the shacks in the street, so I don't know why they're sending to us to make an approval because we don't have any input. So what are we approving? So we don't take any action on that. The renewals, the committee recommends approval of all of the renewals. There were no issues with any of them that I heard from the 9.0 or the 9.4 on any of them. And then there were 5 previously postponed items that were postponed to meet with the Greenpoint Coalition, some community groups. 4 of those we recommended denials on, and we recommended 1 approval. So everyone should have the report, and I'd entertain a motion to approve the report as it's written.
I would like to make the motion to approve the committee recommendation, please.
Second. Thank you, Bogdan. Thank you, Bogdan. Roll call vote, please.
The motion was made by Mr. Bakarowski and seconded by Caponegro. Motion is to approve the committee's report as written. Gina Argento, Bogdan Bakarowski,
Yes.
Lisa Bamonte,
Yes.
Gina Barrows,
Yes.
Tian Brooks,
Yes.
Eric Brusadas,
Yes.
Thomas Burrows,
Yes.
Iris Cabrera,
Yes.
Phil Caponegro,
Yes.
Frank Carbone,
Yes.
Stephen Chesler,
Yep.
Michael Churchill, Teresa Cinciata,
Yes.
Giovanni D'Amato,
Yes.
Erin Drinkwater, Arthur Dibinowski, T. Willis Elkins,
Yes.
Julia Amanda Foster,
Yes.
Joel Goldstein, Joe Gross, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Abstain.
Sonia Iglesia,
Yes.
Moisha Indig, Bozena Kaminsky,
Yes.
Ryan Coonan,
Yes.
Yoel Landau, Marie Lianza, Abraham Leibovitz, Yo Lowe, Trina McKeever,
Yes.
Sante Michelli,
Yes.
Toby Moskowitz, Martin Needleman, Rabbi Niederman, Karen Nieves,
Yes.
Mario Domerick,
Yes.
Janice Peterson,
Yes.
Dana Recklin, Bella Sable,
Yes.
Isaac Sofer, Robert Solano, Del Teague,
Yes.
Tommy Torres, William Vega,
Yes.
Maria Vieta. Maria Vieta?
Yes.
Thank you. Now I did, yes, thank you. Stephen Weiberg, Simon Weiser,
Jerry, I'm sorry I missed you. It's Arthur Debanovsky, yes.
so noted. 27 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention, motion carries.
Thank you, Jerry. Tom, did that conclude your report?
Yes, our next meeting is going to be on 2/22/22. And there's this strange thing that's come up on the calendar, which I don't have any understanding on, called temporary retail permits. So tomorrow we're going to be meeting with the SLA to understand what's temporary retail permits. It's some new thing the state's throwing at us. I don't know what that is. So anybody knows what it is, fill me in. But our next meeting is 2/22/22.
Thank you, Tom. Dell, land use?
Thank you. Okay, so we had a public hearing and then followed by a committee meeting. The public hearing was for the building that Steve Chesler actually talked about of the Broadway Triangle. It's the smallest building of the triangle, 29 units all told, affordable, within ranging from 30 to 80% AMI. The breakdown, there'll be 7 studios, 14 one-bedroom, 8 two-bedroom, and 3 of the apartments are reserved for formerly homeless people. And in addition to the landscaping in the rear yard space, the buildings will be all electric and will use passive house technology. There is also a 1,300 square foot commercial space that the developers plan to lease to a nonprofit group, possibly for a cafe where some of the items that are served will be baked on the premises, but that's still in the process of developing. After the presentation, we then ended the public hearing, went on to the committee meeting, and the recommendation was to accept the presentation as presented There were 14 yes, 0 no, and 3 recusals. So I need a vote on that. Need a vote to approve the application.
I make a motion, Božena Kaminsky.
Zena,
Can we have a,
Trina.
I think I heard somebody before you, Trina.
Okay.
Who spoke before Trina?
no, it was me, Chair Fuller, Madam Chair. I was wondering if we could have, seeing how the meeting went last time, if we could have a maybe opportunity. I know there were definitely other committee members that abstained, and and there was a conversation that I don't feel they are fully report there, but I believe we spend a substantial amount of time, and I believe it's worth probably mention two things just for the record.
No one abstained. Sante, are you talking about the Broadway Triangle? No
No.
one abstained on this.
No, I was talking about that. I thought, but okay, I'll tap into
Voting on the Broadway Triangle now. There were no
Okay.
abstentions. There were 3 recusals.
Okay, I thought you were mentioning that one. Okay, I'll tap into that when we go to that point.
Okay, now I lost my train. I know it was somebody made the motion and Trina second. Who made the motion?
I made a motion, Madam Chair, Božena Kaminsky.
Okay, Bozina and Trina. Derek, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Motion is to accept the committee's recommendation. Gina Argento, Bogdan Bakarowski,
Yes.
Lisa Bamonte,
Yes.
Gina Barros,
Yes.
Tian Brooks,
Yes.
Eric Berzadas,
Yes.
Thomas Burrows,
Yes.
Iris Cabrera,
Yes.
Bill Caponegro,
Yes.
Frank Carbone,
Yes.
Stephen Chesler,
Yes.
Michael Chirichella, Teresa Cinciata,
Yes.
Giovanni D'Amato,
Yes.
Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur Dubinowski,
Yes.
T. Willis Elkins,
Yes.
Julia Amanda Foster,
Yes.
Joel Goldstein, Joe Gross, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Yes.
Sonia Iglesia,
Yes.
Moisha Indig, Božena Kaminsky,
Yes.
Brian Coonan,
Yes.
Yoel Landau, Marie Lianza, Abraham Leibovitz, Yoel Lowe, Trina McKeever,
Yes.
Sante Michelli,
Yes.
Toby Moskowitz, Martin Needleman, Rabbi Niederman, Karen Nieves,
Yes.
Mario Damaruk,
Yes.
Janice Peterson,
Yes.
Dana Racklin, Bella Sable,
Yes.
Isaac Sofer, Robert Solano, Del Teague,
Yes.
Tommy Torres, William Vega,
Yes.
Maria Vieira.
Yes. Oh,
Thank-
I'm sorry. Wait, I take it back. I forgot. This is Broadway Triangle. I recuse. I
Recuse yourself.
recuse. I recuse myself.
So noted. Stephen Whiteberg, Simon Weiser,
Yes.
$27 yes, 1 recusal, motion carries.
Okay, thank you. So the next item is 840 Lorimer Street. And this is an application, this actually involves 4 lots, although the owner does not own all of the lots. They propose to build a 10-story mixed-use building with MIH, with affordable housing. There would be 74 units total, 19 affordable, ranging from 60 to 80% AMI, and 28 parking spaces. So what that is. All right. Anyway, we'll have a little entertainment here. Okay. Lighten the atmosphere a bit. Thank you. So this, in response to the community request for more green elements that were raised in the public hearing. They agreed to add some street trees with engineered soil and a green roof. They plan to have some trees and greenery or green roofs on some of the setback terraces, and there is a vine element growing up the side of the building. We had also asked that they make a commitment to contribute to McCarran Park and work something out with the Parks Department, specifically for the development of McCarran Park. Now, they said that they did begin speaking to the Parks Department, but they were not able to give us any details at all about how much they would be willing to contribute, what their money would be used for, and I'm not, the committee is not accusing them of not acting in good faith, but they were not at the point yet where they could make such a commitment or give us any information. And Mary was there. She did confirm that the Parks Department is willing to work with them and try to work something out. Now, there were two comments by residents. One resident spoke against the project, stating that, in her opinion, it would just further add to the increase in the cost of living and displacement that has occurred by all these developments and these market rate developments. There was also present the owner of the corner luncheonette. However, she was not ready to make any statement. She said at this point they're just watching and listening. So many of the members of the committee had a problem with the basic architecture, with the fact that with the stark difference between the small masonry base and then the much larger upper floors, which are all glass. And the majority of the members of the committee felt that it was almost shocking in the way there was not any kind of subtle working of masonry to maybe, to integrate a little bit better the glass with the masonry, and to at least have some reminiscence of the historical character of the neighborhood and the block. The committee did agree, though, that we weren't asking that they build a complete brick or masonry building, but that we would be, just asking. And we felt it was an important ask, but asking that there would be some working and integration of masonry that would replicate the architecture of the original building. The developer was not able to make a commitment at that time to address these concerns. The committee also asked for the developer to retain and preserve the Royal Lace paperwork sign. It's really a beautiful sign, and the developer did agree to preserve that and incorporate the sign somehow into the building. So the developer was not able to commit to addressing the architectural concerns and was not able to provide us with any details regarding any commitment toward the park, and also was not able to commit to not using fossil fuels for heating and air conditioning. The committee ultimately voted to deny the application unless the following conditions are met. One, that the developer would change the current architectural design to integrate masonry that replicates the architecture of the original building in at least the first 6 floors. And again, that's just to integrate some masonry aspects, not to change the design so that the first 6 floors are masonry or brick. Second was that the developer would agree to contribute substantial sustained funds to McCarran Park pursuant to a community benefit agreement with or approved by the Parks Department. And the funds would be used by the Parks Department specifically for McCarran Park to augment monies normally received by the park through public funding. We felt that, it shouldn't be just something to replace the monies that the Parks Department was going to be able to give it anyway. The third was that the Royal Lace paperwork sign will be incorporated into the building's facade. Fourth was that the two Manhattan Avenue properties, which are not included in the building being evaluated, would not be included in the rezoning. Fifth would be there would be a preference for local businesses and commercial tenants that would provide retail diversity. Sixth would be the developer would provide 35% affordable units, which is a bit more than the MIH requirement. The developer would not use fossil fuels for heating and air conditioning. Number 8, the developer would consider, this is just a consideration, consider using passive house technology for further reducing its carbon footprint. And the last was that the committee would recommend that the developer and the city just explore the feasibility of incorporating a virtual forest architectural device. Again, the last two are just suggestions. So that was the recommendation of the committee.
Excuse me, Jerry, can you let Gina Argento in? She's been in the waiting room for like an hour trying to get in. Thank you.
To make a motion to.
Thank you. Thank you,
Excuse
Mary.
me 1 second. Oh, you're in. Okay, thank you.
Jerry, I'm also in the meeting. Marie.
I have a question, but I don't know how to raise my hand. I'm sorry. Oh, there it is.
Go to the panel list and look down into the right-hand corner. There's a hand.
I found it. It doesn't look like a hand. It looks like, I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, it didn't look like a hand.
Del, I
Okay,
just have a question. The
Sure.
building is being proposed as mixed use. Is that a requirement for that site, or they just decided to do mixed use with the office space?
Well, the part of the, as far as I know, part of the rezoning would be that they can, and so they decided that they would have the mixed use, the retail and commercial, within the first three floors. First three.
Is that because a building was done 2 doors from me that was allegedly mixed use, and they put in offices on 1 floor, and then once they got their C of O, they ripped the offices out and turned them into apartments. And I was like, did they get a special deal to build it that way, and then they cheated? I don't know if that's what I'm asking. It's like they're sticking offices in a residential building. It's like, are they getting extra floor for that or extra space, or I don't, that's all.
Does anyone know the answer to that, Jerry, or do you?
Well, usually, I mean,
Only
I'm
if it's a
not,
community facility.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Jerry, that usually it's a community facility. I'm not aware of mixed use zoning that involves office. So but to Jerry, exactly what Jerry said, it must have been that it was supposed to be a nonprofit user in that space.
Well,
So-
with the rezoning, it wouldn't be. In other words, as of right, then that's where you would get the community facility. But this is.
Yeah, but there is, I don't, as far as I know, in this neighborhood, there isn't mixed use zoning where you can have residential and office in the same building. Residential retail, but above, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, I'm not sure.
Well, in that case,
Yeah,
there is a-
I thought that MX, I thought it's MX and R combined, which I thought did allow retail,
Yeah,
commercial and residential.
that's right.
It's MX zoning.
Understood. Thank you for clarifying, Karen.
Madam Chair, if I can, I'd love to make some comment as I want to do that earlier, which I believe are important.
Okay.
I have to say, I believe there were several members that abstained at the meeting, and definitely, I felt uncomfortable a little bit how that went. It still is not very clear to me the yes and no with recommendation. I believe, there were people being against entirely. I believe the owner of the building there felt very vulnerable. But anyhow, I received some email the day after, somebody had the opportunity not to be at the meeting, but to watch the YouTube. Other things, recommendation versus condition, I understand we're advisory, but I do not understand when personally I try to introduce something which is very globally well known. It's a new environmental measure, as much as it could be passive house and electrifying a building, so many measures that we should not disregard. I believe I felt definitely there was a very strong support for affordable house. There is no one time I didn't vote in favor of affordable house. I believe it's a human right. And I believe also it's a human right to make sure the building must to be not just energy efficient, because some people said, oh, I don't understand vertical forest, but honestly, what do you need to understand? I would never ask anybody to have a technical understanding. I challenge any board member if they can explain the real technical understanding of passive house or the real technical understanding of electrifying a building. Because electrifying a building doesn't mean that you are energy efficient. You may have to acquire energy that still produce carbon monoxide. Are you producing electric energy somehow independently? Because that's a different type of contribution. So we may put things, they said, oh yeah, I support that, but we have disregarded the fact that this building could have contained hundreds of trees. Do we know the benefit, what trees do? They produce oxygen, they filter. We don't need to understand what the system. We are questioning the bringing 100 live trees that will continue to grow, that they become part of a system like a park, and we question that. We have washed away the environmental input, which I believe we cannot disregard that. To me personally, I have no conflict of interest. And I know there is many board members, they work for organizations, they produce hundreds of millions of dollars, and they want affordable house. We all want that. I want that, I will vote, but I believe why to wash away input, they look at the environment. And we have put it there, we should have put it as a condition. And honestly, I feel let's leave our borough president. People question and said, oh, I fear if we put the type of recommendation city planning do not understand. For the record, so it's going to be on YouTube, I have mentioned that our Brooklyn Borough Director of City Planning, Sommer, has mentioned that he was aware about vertical forest. He mentioned in an email that he was fortunate enough to go in Milan, and that he said that there was nothing against for us to recommend that, to put that as a condition. So why do we question the city planning may not understand? City planning is the right agency, at least to present it to them. What do we have to lose? And I believe going back to something else, so you are all aware, electrical building, we make a big favor to the developer, because to develop a building without gas line, without a proper boiler, save a lot of money. Save a lot of money and put the burden of the increased electrical bill to the tenant, including the one who may go to an actual affordable unit. And so to me, disregard these things and put it aside, I feel we did a disservice to the community. You don't need to understand the technicality. I do understand, honestly, and I will challenge any of you to discuss more if you want, but I never want to take the role. And so I feel a little bit that people should recuse themselves if they are potentially conflict of the interest because they belong to organization, and we don't know. We should ask actually the developer every time there is a meeting, is any organization is going to be there to manage the affordable house? And then if somebody work for an organization and manage the affordable house, we should know. I believe the rules or the charter says we should announce that before we even make comments. So we can make comments, but at least it's clear for the record. And honestly, everything should coexist. And there were comments that were made by, I believe, William Vega, even the chair of the environmental committee said that we felt, why not to include all those measures? And for the future going on, I believe we cannot disregard this measure, because every major top architect on the planet, you can, and I've been attending, and here there are people who are very work very closely in the field, they'll tell you that the first client today they have is the environment, then is the developer. And so to me, I care very much. And I believe those are very important things. We have washed away the possibility. I don't want to make recommendation. I want to make some very strong statement personally. And I want to have the agency to make the decision, our mayor to make this decision, our borough president. Let's do not question about if they are able to understand or not. And that's why I abstain, and that's why I will continue to abstain, because we also want to put input, sorry, because I'm knowledgeable about that. This is not a landmark. And what does it mean to all? We need a little bit more of brick, a little bit.
Summarize.
I want to summarize. Even giving this input, a beautiful architecture can contribute to our urban fabric and can be designed in any way. That's not what is not the brick that makes a good architectural project. And having a forest there vertically, they could cover a bad architecture. Definitely, it's an improvement, especially when it's close to a park. So even us to say a little bit of glass, you know, it means nothing. I love to give the freedom to a great architect to design, you know, but first the environment. And brick there or saving something. It was a landmark. There was another opportunity. We should have said, let's preserve the original brick fabric and let's build like domino, build the ways, design it. Let's keep the original brick. But if they demolish it, we love to demolish and to go up 10 story. What are we doing? Who is giving the input that brick is it's a good presence? Where? You know, could be a great architecture without the brick. Certainly, glass is always an issue, remember, because it's like a greenhouse. You need a lot of energy to control the environment and to control the climate of that building. And that control happens through energy. That is for air condition, for climatization. But that's all what I want to say. I wanted this to be on the record, to be on YouTube, so everybody can see, because I can be personally convinced with other agenda, that there are political or there are agenda of non-profit organization that today they lost the nature of being grassroots. They employ people, and the people makes very good salary, and I believe this situation can be conflictuous. Let's be clear. But thank you very much for your attention, and I apologize again for taking your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Santa. Karen, Karen, you had your hand up.
I have two comments to Sante. First of all, with respect to the vertical forest, a number of the members of the committee told you that they are not ready to make a demand about vertical forests until there is more information given to the committee. And I suggested that something so interesting but also so complicated it's not fair to ask the committee members to educate themselves about it. I did suggest that that if you have knowledge of people who might come to give us some education about what's entailed, you know, the details, that we could have that provided to either the committee or to the full board. So that's with respect to that. Second of all, I think the question of do you do yes or no when you have conditions? I will give you my opinion, and this is I'm only one person here. My sense is, and we went through this with Rivering, and I had asked Richard Barrack from the Borough President's office to give us a sense of his overview of when boards will tend to go yes with conditions versus no unless certain conditions are met, or no because of concerns. And as you all probably remember, he discussed, and I also agreed, that when you have a situation where a developer is pretty much willing to go along with what your concerns are, what your conditions are, then you might vote yes with conditions, knowing that letting the electeds understand that these are conditions, but yes with conditions, because we have every reason to believe the developer is willing to be able to meet, at least to a large extent, what the conditions are. And then, as Richard Barrack said, if it's a bigger ask, if, for instance, there are conditions that are important, and the developer at that point cannot, or maybe will not, or maybe just cannot, because at this stage they might not be able to make any kind of a commitment to meet those conditions, then it is often chosen to say no unless certain conditions are met, with the idea that this gives the borough president and the council, our council person, ammunition to work with the developer to and to try to get some concessions from the developer. Now that we can always, that's something I've mentioned that we can always discuss more and in more detail with the committee. And, you know, there just isn't any, that I know, there's no mathematical formula for this. I think it's strategy, really. So in any case, that was my response, two responses.
Thank you. Karen?
Respectfully, I would like to ask that the committee form a rubric for these projects that come up, because again, when does the yes turn to a no? What exactly, we need some sort of principle and guidelines. We're going from project to project, and just because one or two, you know, members may feel no, and, you know, I think we really need to have questions, answers, some sort of, you said that there's no metric for it. It's not cookie
Say
cutter.
that. Karen, I didn't say that. Let's get
No, I
straight.
said,
There's
yeah,
no
you did, that
mathematical.
there's no mathematical, you said that there's
Karen
no
finish.
mathematical measure. Correct, but we can do principles. We can, as a committee, come up with environmental, okay, economic. What are the housing impacts? What do we want on these projects? And come up with some sort of rubric and know, when does it trigger? When does a yes become a no with conditions? So that we're all aligned. We need to be aligned on the committee, not just, okay, I want to take the temperature of the room. Who's for what? No, that shouldn't be. We need to come up with these principles so that we're all on the same page with each project that comes up. You even said it yourself. You want to meet with the elected officials. You want to have Lincoln come in so that we can have a land use plan as a community. And I'm for that. Let's do that. But I really think that we need to come up with some sort of principles, have it on paper, and let's get these questions. What are the impacts going to be of having a 9-story, you know, commercial space? What are the impacts if we do allow them to have the extra floors for those units? What are, you know, what do we want to see? We want to see extra affordable housing, low income housing. So these are the things, and just like what even Sante, okay, fine, it might be new, but at the same time and time again, we're saying how our community is, you know, unjust when it comes to environmental. This is an opportunity. If it is vertical forest, it is an opportunity for us. So environmental impacts. We talk about green roofs, and greening. So I really feel that the committee should dedicate some time at one of our meetings, and let's come up with principles and let's come up with a rubric. Yes, it's not going to be perfect, okay, but at least it's going to be a guide for us to move forward with each project consistently, not just willy-nilly, yes, no, maybe so. We can't move forward like that as a committee. I'm sorry. That's just my feeling. Let's get some bounded principles so we can move forward.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Karen. I think that's a great suggestion.
I think it's a great suggestion, and as far as I know, I haven't seen any other applications except there's a presentation at our March 1st meeting, and so this is why I wanted to invite Lincoln to come, and I think that this is where we will start, and I think that's absolutely right. I have suggested a number of times that we do try to get a more cohesive sense of when we have conditions, whether we say yes or no. And I think March is a good time to start, because I think that we will have Lincoln there. We can start talking about all of these. And so I would recommend that you and anyone else on the committee, if you have come up with some specifics that you want to start exploring with Lincoln, write them out, send them to me and to the rest of the committee, and even to the full board, because I think everybody should see. And we'll have some specifics to start with, and then we can keep going on this, and we can make sure to preserve a certain amount of time at each committee meeting, and we will, I think March 1st is a great time to start, and it's very fortunate that at least at this point it looks like we don't have a long full agenda, so I think it's perfect. It's a perfect time to start.
Thank
That
you.
hand
I
thingy
really would
isn't
appreciate
working.
that.
The hand
Hold on.
thingy isn't working. Who is
Dell, I think that's a good idea, but I also think to get great input, maybe you need to try to set up a separate meeting. And that might work out where you're only working on that particular item.
Sure. I think though that what I'd like to do is start having.
I know you want to start, but I'm just saying.
Yes, absolutely. That's fine, because then at the next meeting, we can see where we've gotten, and then we can certainly set up an extra meeting. I agree with you. And we can, move forward on that. And Maria is also trying to speak.
No, I have
But I wasn't the first one. I think
Maria,
Ryan was
I have
first.
other hands ahead of you.
Ryan was first.
Sorry.
I'm saying,
No, I'm going by the hands on, I'm going on by the hands on the panelists. The next one is Jan, and then the next one
I
is
just
Jasper,
wanted-
and then the next one is Maria.
Okay, can you hear me?
Ryan was before me.
Yes.
I wanted to thank Karen and Sanzi for really pushing this because I think, can you hear me, by the way? It feels like.
Yes,
Yeah,
Jan, we
okay,
can.
I'm sorry. Anyway, I think it's really important. Sanze has been pushing for a very long time and then putting it into ethical things. People in general, many people on the board are quite concerned about our lack of making the changes and pushing for the principles and points that we want. So I want to thank Karen and Sanze and for you willingness now to move, that we're going to do it, because this has gone on too long and we have other areas that were raised by Sanzi that need in-depth discussion, and not now, but I just wanted to thank them for their jumping in. That's it.
Thank you, Jan. Chancellor?
Thank you. First, I just say, I think it's a really great idea to create some sort of framework or metric or rubric to move forward. But I just want to address the environmental part of it. I think in part of the discussion, what I suggested is that we need a really big toolbox on the environmental side with these land use actions in terms of geothermal, electrification, vertical farming, solar, other renewables, passive, whatever else. And so I would suggest either through the land use committee and or the environmental committee having a hearing and bringing in experts in these various areas to inform us specific to to local to development, to small scale buildings, large scale buildings, office buildings, etc. So the land use committee members can easily refer to this toolbox in terms of what we might demand of developers who are looking to make changes or develop their properties. So I thought I might just bring it up at our next environmental committee meeting, but I'm open to however, because we go down to it. I feel like even every land use action, say that does have a negative environmental impact, affects over a dozen categories. So maybe the transportation committee should weigh in on a river ring, and the education committee, and public safety, et cetera, rather than just the land use committee having to lift that entire burden themselves. It's just so. I think, Jan, you've really talked about having a synergy and connectivity between the various committees informing and helping one another. And I think this would be on climate and these large developments would be a catalyst for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor. I think this is a great start because whatever happens in the community impact the soil. So I think it's a great start. Great ideas. Maria?
I don't think that my hand was raised first. I think there were several people ahead of me. And I don't want to step on anyone, but I'm going to be very brief because right now I don't know what order that was.
Maria, let me just explain it to you.
Yeah.
I look at, that's why I ask people to raise their hand if they want to speak. I go by the participants list and I look at the names that's raised and I go up and down and I make a list of who has their hand up. Your name is not on the participants list with your hand up.
Okay, so you're giving me the floor though. Thank you, Madam Chair. I really appreciate these 2 seconds of your time and everyone else's. Thank you very much. I just want to say, I appreciate everything that's been said. Sante, as I said before at the land use meeting, I hear you. I understand what you're trying to say. However, there's a lot of education needed for not just for the committee, but for the entire board as it relates to the vertical forest. And I'm not saying that we should not, but give us that opportunity. Maybe someone should come and speak and address not only the committee, but the board so that we can get more education on the subject. And I really thank Lincoln Ressler for offering to come to the next land use committee meeting. Del, I just wanted to add, there is another council member in whose district we are, and that is Jennifer Gutierrez, and perhaps maybe she should also be invited to attend this meeting because, you know, this is also her district. I just wanted to say that.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is William Vega. My hand function is not working. May I speak briefly?
Yes, briefly.
Thank you. I just feel there's an extreme urgency for us to deal with environmental issues, climate change, flooding. Here in North Brooklyn, because of the industrialization of our country, we've been dealing with pollution for over 100 years. We need to be the standard. We need to push it because there are no more tomorrows. Climate change is real and it's getting worse and worse. I'm so glad that Del and Steve are going to work together because this is what we need. And I appreciate Karen's input about having the dialogue, and we can all be educated, but there is an urgency. So please jump on it. And with the support of our chairperson, I think Chair Fuller, we can lead the way, and we should, because we've been polluted for over 100 years. Thank you.
And Karen, that was a great idea.
Thank you, Vega. Great. Tom, did you have your hand up to speak on this issue? I see you still up.
I sure did. Didn't we just elect a new borough president who made a lot of noise about training us on land use? And aren't there a lot of other community boards that are dealing with the same issue throughout the borough of Brooklyn, including the people who are like around Prospect Park, who have been dealing with these buildings that want to go up around Prospect Park? So where's the borough president? You know, he was talking about shacks in the street today, like we need any more of them. Why isn't he helping us out on the land use issues like he said he was going to do? And both council members should be involved, not just Lincoln. We have 2 council members. Like, why is it just Lincoln? It's like, where's Antonio? Where's Jen? Like, where are they? So they should be included in this. And the borough president office has a staff. They can maybe put together some kind of training on environmental issues. And we can invite the people about the vertical forest to speak to more than just our board. Where are our elected officials? You know, more shacks in the street. That seems to be the only thing they care about.
And we need to work across Brooklyn.
Not Tom. I think it's great that that we it seems like we might be able to take the lead on this and get the information we need. So it's a great idea. I thank everybody for all their input. It was great. And I think this is our opportunity to take the lead on the environment. Just for, you know, because it is critical and we all know that. I don't see anybody else's hands. Are there any other questions?
I have a question. So perhaps for the March meeting, rather than just inviting the 2 council members, how about we also invite the borough president to come? And that way they can, you know, the borough president will be included and will you know, have a sense of what we're talking about, what kinds of issues we're hoping to deal with, and can also be there for the responses of the council members, and we get everybody in the same room. So I think that's a great idea, and why not? Unless somebody can think of a reason why we should not invite someone from the borough president's office.
Well, I don't hear any objections on that.
Can I add one thing, Chair Fuller?
Yeah.
it's Trina. And I think another topic that we need to add is housing. What is our target AMI that we're looking for, and to really understand that, and what percentage of affordable are we looking at?
Yeah.
Because I know that it'd be good to have real guidance for the land use committee for that as well.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's what I mentioned, yeah.
Yes, so let's, I have some specific questions, and whoever else has questions that you think we should hone in on, we may not get to all of them on March 1st, but that's okay, because we'll have some of the electeds there. We will be there together. And obviously, as always, you don't have to be a member of the committee to come to our committee meetings and to participate. So let's move ahead. And I do think it's a good idea, Steve, to have the land use and the environmental committees working together here. There's really, expertise in each committee that really needs to be put together. Meanwhile, we do have a vote that we need on. We need to vote on the committee's recommendation on 840 Lorimer.
Did anybody second it? Did you have a vote on it from the committee?
I don't remember if anyone seconded it.
I think Steve made the motion, and I can second it, Trina.
Okay.
Yes. So can you just clarify, because there's been a lot of conversation. You're asking us to approve the recommendation. Could you just repeat the recommendation, please?
I just read the whole thing. It's their nine.
That was what you read. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yes.
Okay, a motion had been made and second, Chesler and Trina.
Who made the motion?
Chesler and Trina.
Yes. The most, are we going to have a? Terry, are we having a roll call vote?
I'm waiting direction from the chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call vote, please. I thought you was gonna call it after I told you who made the motion.
Sorry.
The motion is to deny with the 9 conditions. So if you vote yes, you're actually voting to support the committee's recommendation to deny.
Unless the following conditions are met.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Deny with the 9 conditions so stated,
Okay.
correct?
Yes.
So if you vote yes, you're supporting the committee's recommendation to deny. Gina Argento,
Yes.
Bogdan Bakarowski,
Yes.
Lisa Bamonte,
Yes.
Gina Barros,
Yes.
Tian Brooks,
Yes.
Eric Mercedes,
Yes.
Tom Burrows,
Yes.
Iris Cabrera,
Yes.
Phil Caponegro,
Yes.
Frank Carbone,
Yes.
Stephen Chesler,
Yes.
Michael Chirichella, Teresa Cinciata,
Yes.
Giovanni D'Amato,
Abstain?
so noted, Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur Dibinowski,
Yes.
T. Willis Elkins,
Yes.
Julia Amanda Foster.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Elkins?
Yeah, I said yes. Did you hear it?
I'm sorry. I heard you now. Thank you. So noted. And Ms. Foster was a yes vote also. So noted. Joel Goldstein, Joel Gross, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Yes.
Sonia Iglesia,
Yes.
Moisha Indig, Hosanna Kaminsky.
Yes, Jerry.
Thank you. So noted. Brian Coonan,
Yes.
Yo Landau, Marie Lianza,
Yes.
Abraham Leibovitz, Yo Lowe, Trina McKeever,
Yes.
Sante Michelli,
Abstain.
Toby Moskowitz.
Abstain.
Thank you. Martin Needleman, Rabbi Niederman.
Abstain?
So noted. Karen Nieves.
Abstention.
Thank you. Mario Damrock,
Yes.
Janice Peterson. Janice Peterson,
Abstain.
Thank you. Dana Recklin. Bella Sable. Bella Sable. Isaac Sofer. Robert Solano. Del Teague.
Yes.
Tommy Torres. William Vega.
Abstain.
Maria Vieira.
I'm abstaining.
Abstain. So noted. Stephen Weidberg. Simon Weiser.
No.
No. Thank you. Twenty-three yes, 1 no, 8 abstention. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And on a lighter note, Squirrels from Hell will be playing Pete's Candy Store again on February 19th. That's not this Saturday, the next Saturday at 9 p.m. So if any of you are free and you want to hear my crazy band, we'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Transportation, Eric?
Madam Chair, can I make a comment, please?
Who is that?
Rabbi Niederman.
Okay, Rabbi.
Okay. I just want to make one comment. I really feel it's not fair for statements to be made that not-for-profits, whatever you agree or not agree, but basically say not-for-profits lost their whatever, they have people who make money over there. That is, I think, a comment that is very unfair. After all, who has rebuilt this community if not for the not-for-profits like St. Nick's, Las Sudas, and others, including the UJO? And who is there pushing the affordable housing agenda, okay? Again, the not-for-profits. So therefore, I feel it's extremely unfair to quote, to speak down on behalf of the not-for-profits and even give it a rationale for that because people make money because they work there. That is unacceptable, and I believe it should be noted for the record. The contribution, what has happened for the community should be commended. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. So noted. Transportation, Eric?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. I will run down just a brief summary of the meeting, just because the first item was an update on the Lorimer Station construction, and it's moving forward at both Grand Street, Lorimer Station, and Metropolitan Avenue. Just wanted to make folks aware, if you're not already, that Lorimer Street will be closed from Metropolitan Avenue to Consillier for at least the next 4 weeks, while they're staging some of their equipment. Could be shorter, could be longer. This is a new condition that they need to do because of the crane that's going in there, which is currently at Grand Street. But that's the condition. And then it's going to be for the next, for the duration of the project while they have the staging there. Excuse me, it will be a northbound only change from DeVoe to Consillier. So just for everyone that's not aware of that, that's what's going on at that site. We talked about a lot of different issues regarding garbage control, vermin control. The residents are still looking to work with the contract partner Judd Lau to get some sound monitoring for the heavy work that's going to be done soon. And there's still some concerns that their house is shaking, but according to Judd Lau, that's really just surface work. But it will, once they start the heavy work, they will be speaking with them and getting consent forms taken care of. And then we'll have MTA and the contractor back in a couple of months just to get an update on where the construction stands. I'll be in touch with Andy Inglesby from MTA about what's going on there in the interim, and just to make, and he's been very proactive about going out to the site. I've actually passed him on the street several times at the location. I know he's spoken to the residents there, and we're just going to keep in touch with him on that. We got an update on the Meeker Avenue project. I just wanted to have them in to see where they finished with their late start on the work back in the fall. They did not complete every punch item, but they did start late. They didn't have the full year to do the work, but most of the concrete work is done. The signal work is being completed, and stage 1 should be completed fairly soon after they start back up in earnest in April, or when weather permitting. There's also some concern about connecting the K Bridge to the network. DOT is looking at that. Mr. Bearwald of DOT, who's the project manager, is looking at it. But it's ongoing. So there's also some concerns about crossing times, particularly at McGinnis, Humboldt exit. They will be, there's some curb outs and some stuff that's gone in, but there's still a problem crossing that intersection. And once all the work is done, they have to wait for the phase to be done before they can go in and do the signals, so that they all agree. But they'll be going back to be looking at that, and they're also going to be looking at installing countdown clocks throughout the corridor. And there is a motion on this, but I'll save all the motions to the end, and we can vote on block if that's fine, Madam Chair. All the other details are in the report. I'll leave it as written. I just want to make a note that we had another incident of a public member breaking quorum and abusing a member of the public who was trying to speak and interrupting. She was muted and ejected from the meeting for her inappropriate comments. And I apologize to the committee and the public that they had to hear it. Right. So, and then we got an update on Wythe Avenue. Folks will know that we've been talking about having Jersey barriers installed there to protect the bike lanes. Those are in. There is some additional painting and striping that needs to happen. There's a quick curb that's going to go in to replace some delineators and barrels that have gone in as a safety measure. There is still a concern that folks making the left turn off Williamsburg Street West onto Wythe, those of you who've been seeing the news, you've probably seen a few trucks and cars actually have driven up onto the Jersey barriers with that turn. It's hopeful that once the new markings go in and people start obeying the traffic laws, that they won't run up on that curb anymore on the Jersey barrier. But we're going to keep an eye on it, and there's also still a need for the 9-0 to go down there and do more enforcement and traffic control at that location. And so we'll be continuing to monitor that situation as it evolves. They did say that the Quikrete is not, the quick curb is not weather sensitive. So as soon as they get approval from city planning, they should be able to get that in within the next 30 days or so. I also have a motion on that. Okay, so, and then old business, we discussed Grand Street and getting a protected, physically protected bike lane installed there. The new DOT Commissioner, Udonis Rodriguez, who was formerly the City Council Chair of the Transportation Committee, has made a commitment to replace delineators and things like that to make physically protected bike lanes. There was a discussion, which unfortunately, I apologize, is not reflected in the report, but it is in the YouTube, obviously. You know, there's a concern. Those of you that have been around for a minute remember the year-long discussion about Grand Street and the terrible condition that it was left in once the governor changed his mind about the L train shutdown. The bid is very concerned. The businesses are very concerned with the conditions. Bikers are concerned that the roadbed is not safer with the new array. So we will be asking for a community-based redesign rather than just throwing up, you know, concrete protection that really isn't going to serve anybody. And so, and then just again, under old business, we're going to be at the next meeting, we're going to be talking about the area behind the water treatment plant. There's a lot of abuse going on there by some of the trucks, and we need to get that squared away. We'll be talking about that at the next meeting. So we have 4 motions, all but one passed unanimously. And Madam Chair, with your indulgence, I'll read them and then we can vote on block. Or I can separate out the one that was not unanimous if you'd prefer.
I think you should.
Sure. Okay. All right. So let's do the first one, which was so those of you will remember when we talked about the metered parking, which was not the purpose of having Meeker Avenue on the agenda, was to get an update on the construction on the progress. But since it is an issue revolving around that, it did, and it was brought up in the when the public comments came up, that it's important that the board redrafts the letter that we had sent after the initial announcement of the the metered parking, that the board still stands opposed to the metered parking. But then when we redraft the letter, because we have a new city council representation as well as a mayor, that it should go to them to have it formally on their agenda, but then also to, and I'll just read the motion made by myself, seconded by Mr. Vega. Community Board 1, to redraft the letter opposing metered parking under the BQE to Mayor Eric Adams, Commissioner of New York City Department of Transportation, Ydanis Rodriguez, the Director of the New York City Office of Management and Budget, Jacques Jiha, and the Commissioner of the Department of Finance, Preston Nyblack, as well as City Council members Jennifer Gutierrez and City Council member Lincoln Ressler. And the reason and that was voted with 2 no votes, but no abstentions. And it did pass. And the reason we're sending it to the Director of Finance as well as the Director of OMB is that it's not DOT's decision to put in metered parking, that they are tasked to implement that program. So OMB and Finance have their hand in generating that under the previous administration, and it's important for the new administrators to understand that. So that was the motion that did not pass unanimously. So I'll ask for a vote on that. It did pass the committee, though.
I second it.
Vega, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Gina Argento,
Yes.
Somebody need to mute themselves.
Ogden Bakarowski, Lisa Bamonte,
Yes.
Gina Barros,
Somebody need to mute
Rabbi
themselves.
Niederman.
Gina Barros,
Please mute.
Mute yourself, please.
Gina Barros, Tian Brooks,
Yes.
Eric Brusadas,
Yes.
Tom Burrows,
Yes.
Iris Cabrera, Phil Caponegro,
Yes.
Frank Carbone,
Yes.
Stephen Chesler,
Yes.
Michael Chirichella, Teresa Cinciata,
Yes.
Giovanni D'Amato,
Yes.
Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur Dubinowski,
Yes.
T. Willis Elkins,
Yes.
Julia Amanda Foster, Joel Goldstein, Joel Gross, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Yes.
Sonia Iglesia, Moisha Indig, Rosanna Kaminsky,
Yes.
Ryan Coonan,
Hello?
Ryan Coonan,
No.
Joel Landau, Marie Lianza, Abraham Leibovitz.
Yes, did you hear me? Jerry said yes.
So noted, Maria. Thank you.
Okay.
Abraham Leibovitz, Yo Low, Trina McKeever.
Yes.
Thank you. Sante Michelli.
Abstain.
They're stepping on you. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
hello?
Sante
I didn't hear
Michelli.
my name.
Sante Michelli.
Abstain, Sante.
Do you hear me?
Thank you. Toby Moskovitz.
Yes.
Thank you. Martin Needleman. Rabbi Niederman.
Do you hear me?
I don't know who you are, but Rabbi Niederman? No vote. Karen Nieves.
Yes.
Thank you. Mario Damerk.
Yes.
Janice Peterson.
Yes.
Dana Racklin. Bella Sable. Isaac Sofer.
Yes.
Thank you. Robert Solano. Del Teague. Tommy Torres. Tommy Torres. William Vega.
William Vega, yes.
Maria Vieira. Stephen Weidberg.
Yes, Maria Vieira.
Simon Weiser. "24 yes, 1 no, 1 abstention. Motion carries.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, now the next three were voted unanimously with no abstentions, and I'll just read them. First one by Ms. Quonen, seconded by Mr. Vega. Community Board 1 to draft a letter to NYPD 90th Precinct to increase enforcement of illegal parking and standing on Wythe Avenue from Williamsburg Street West to Penn Street. The next one is made by Community Committee member Paul Kelterborn. Community Board 1 to draft a letter to New York City DOT Commissioner Udonis Rodriguez to request a community-based, very important, community-based redesign of Grand Street to include physically protected bike lanes. And the last item, the last motion was made by community member Ms. Bronwyn Breitner. Motion to Community Board 1 to draft a letter to NYC DOT to include the following improvements to the Meeker Avenue plan: improved signal timing and safer pedestrian crossing, more effective stormwater management under the BQE, upgraded lighting, a physically protected bike lane, traffic controls at Monitor Street and Meeker Avenue, the inclusion of audible pedestrian signals throughout. And that was seconded by Mr. Vega. And again, all three voted on, approved unanimously by the committee. So I need a motion to approve those three items.
William Vega seconds.
Eric, just a point of information. So was the resolution for Grant Street, the Meeker Avenue plan improvements, and what was the other one?
Sorry, so it is, yes, community-based plan for Grand Street.
Right.
better enforcement, Williamsburg Street West to Penn by the 9-0.
Okay, that's the one I was missing. Thank you.
Okay, okay, sure.
Motion to approve, Steve Chesler.
You have to second it. Vega already made a motion to approve.
Okay. Second.
Okay, Vega and Chestnut, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, so the motion is to approve the committee's 3 recommendations regarding the 1, the Grand Street resolution, number 2, the Meeker Avenue plan improvements, number 3, the enhanced enforcement of Williamsburg Street West. A yes vote is to approve the committee's recommendation. Gina Argento,
I abstain.
Bogdan Bakarowski,
Yes.
Lisa Bamonte,
Yes.
Gina Barros, Keon Brooks, Eric Berzadas,
Yes.
Thomas Burrows,
Yes. Yes.
Iris Cabrera,
Yes.
Phil Caponegro,
Yes.
Frank Carbone,
Yes.
Stephen Chesler,
Yes.
Michael Chirichella, Teresa Cinciata,
Yes.
Giovanni D'Amato,
Abstain.
Aaron Drinkwater, Arthur Dubinowski,
Yes.
P. Willis Elkins,
Yes.
Julia Amanda Foster,
Yes.
Joel Goldstein, Joel Gross, Katie Denny Horowitz,
Yes.
Sonia Iglesia, Moisha Indig, Ozena Kaminsky,
Yes.
thank you, Ryan Coonan,
Yes.
Joel Landau, Marie Lianza,
Yes.
Abraham Leibovitz, Yoel Lowe, Trina McKeever,
Yes.
Sante Michelli,
Abstain.
thank you, Toby Moskowitz, Martin
Yes.
Needleman,
That was a yes, I'm sorry, yes.
so noted, thank you, Martin Needleman, Rabbi Niederman,
Yes.
Karen Nieves,
Yes.
Mario Domrock,
Abstain.
Janice Peterson,
Yes.
Dana Racklin, Bella Sable, Isaac Sofer,
Abstain.
Robert Solano, Del Teague, Tommy Torres, William Vega,
Yes.
Maria Vieira, Maria Vieira,
Yes.
thank you,
Yes.
Stephen Weidberg, Simon Weiser, (24) yes, 0 no, 5 abstentions. Motion carries.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, everyone. So the next meeting is to be determined. We're looking at the first week of March or the 2nd. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you likewise, Eric. Parks minute as written. Electeds. Is Nicholas Perry here from the Controller's Office? Nicholas Perry? Okay, I guess he's not here. Okay, is there any old business?
Yes,
Is there any new
Madam-
business?
Madam Chair?
You got old business?
All business, yeah. Yeah, just thank you, refer back to what, one of the things Lincoln Wrestler alluded to was the funding that was allocated towards Bushwick Inlet Park to demolishing the city storage warehouse and beyond. And just want to note that, it's incredibly historic that we saved the land. And now there's like 2/3 of the park that still has to be built. And that's going to go a huge way in doing that. And the way it happened was there was a incredible coalition of elected officials. Our Steve Levin, our former council member, Lincoln Ressler, Carolyn Maloney, Emily Gallagher was gigantic, Senator Kavanaugh, and gotta say, Mayor Bill de Blasio and Senator Chuck Schumer were all fantastic. But I want to give special thanks to this board because the resolution that was passed unanimously, writing to the Office of Management and Budget to release those funds was a factor along with those other things. So resolutions matter. And so the community, huge thanks to the board. And we're a huge step closer to getting the park that we promised 17 years ago. So.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just wanted to know, did the renewal applications come out yet? Because I see applications, but are they for new people or the ones that are on the board already?
I can't hardly hear you, Maria. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to know about the renewal applications because my name is coming up. And I want to know if they're out already.
They're supposed to be on the website.
There is
They're supposed to be on the borough president's website.
on the website, it just says applications. I don't know if those are for the new people.
That's
I'm not
for an application for everybody to re-up and everything.
Oh, okay, all right.
From my
Madam Chair,
understanding.
Madam Chair, point of information. I think the deadline's been pushed back, if I'm not incorrect. Jerry would know.
Yeah, deadline was pushed back, but I don't know because they didn't have it on. But
I had sent an email, Madam Chair, to all the board members that had the link to the application. It was provided to me by Erin Buchanan at Borough Hall. I'm going from memory, but I think that the application was pushed back to March 4th. But
right.
Check your email. If you don't have it, let me know. I'll resend it. It's an online application, Marie. I know Antonio spoke about a paper application.
Yeah.
I have not seen any evidence of a paper application as of yet.
Oh, because I'm
Jerry,
not,
could you check with Borough Hall because they did say something about they was gonna try to put together a paper application.
yeah, because I'm
I
not,
did when I spoke to Miss Buchanan,
Oh, okay.
but they provided nothing as of yet.
you can keep me informed, Jerry. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but what happened to term limits on us? What happened? Jerry?
I don't know, Jan. I asked that at the borough board meeting a few months ago, and nobody's ever gotten back to me about it. So nobody
Unbelievable.
has been able to
Unbelievable.
speak on term limits.
No.
I believe that starts with new, any recurring appointments starting this year, right? Because it was voted on last year. I think that's correct.
Like I said, Eric, nobody's been able to tell me when term limits
2
start.
years ago, we voted.
Right.
Or 3.
Nobody's been able to, like I said, I brought it up with the last administration at a borough board meeting, and they were supposed to get back to us. They never did. So I don't know what they're gonna do about term limits, but I guess we'll know something sooner or later.
Well, let's ask Lincoln Ressler and Jen.
Well, when we find out, we'll certainly let the board know, you know.
Thank you.
Everybody's transitioning, so it's kind of hard to get anybody that can really help us at this point. Okay, is there any other old business?
One thing about community board applications, there's a printable version of the application on the Brooklyn Borough President's website. And they have an address you can send it to, if that helps.
Haven't addressed what?
They have the address you can send the application to, and they have a PDF version that you can print.
Okay, so I imagine you have to print it out and fill it out, and you can mail it. They got a mailing address.
So that's also for people that are already on the board then. It's not for new people.
The application is the same, Marie, from what I understand.
Okay, all right. I'll pull it out. Let's see.
It's probably, Maria, there's probably a checkoff at the top saying that if you're a new member or a reappointment.
All right, that's fine.
But that's good news, Tian, if the paper ballot is available, because quite a few board members have been asking me about that. And It wasn't available last time I checked. Great.
It looks like they just updated their website.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tion.
Welcome.
Is there any new business?
I have new business.
Okay.
Okay, in light of, I think anyone that's been online or has been talking to their neighbors, in light of the Con Ed rate increase that was, went into effect on January 1st, and the fact that they're asking for another increase of 11%, I feel like the community board, it would be good if we wrote a letter into the public commission. I guess this would be something that would go through environmental committee and come to the full board, but I definitely think if not a full board presentation on public power or one of these things to really talk about this issue, because it seems to be something that is affecting everyone and has everyone up in arms.
I go along with Ryan. My house had no electricity last night at all. And now they cut the 220 wire. I'm just saying it's very unclear what's happening with all this new money that's supposedly fixing and improving things.
Okay, Steve, can you take that up at your environmental committee meeting?
Sure, I'll add it to our agenda for our next meeting.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. Is there any other new business? Hearing none, motion to adjourn. Nobody wants to stay home?
Thank you. Have a lovely
You
evening.
need a roll call? You need a roll call for that?
Stay safe, neighbors.